Commander Minji stood at the observation deck of Nexus Prime Station, watching the stars through the massive viewport. Her heart beat faster than usual. Today would change everything for humanity. Either they would gain powerful allies in the galaxy, or they would face an uncertain future alone among the stars. The diplomatic mission had taken 3 years to plan. Earth's finest minds had worked together to prepare for this moment. Minji commanded the mission, but she was not alone. Beside her stood Do-hyun, her tactical advisor and closest friend since military academy. His calm presence always helped her think clearly in difficult situations. "The Vortan ships will arrive in 2 hours," Do-hyun said, checking his datapad. "Are you ready for this?" Minji nodded, though she felt nervous. As ready as anyone can be for humanity's first real diplomatic contact with an alien empire. Yuna approached them from across the observation deck. As their cultural specialist, she had spent months studying everything they knew about Vortan society. Her knowledge would be crucial in avoiding any mistakes that might offend their potential allies. "I have been reviewing the protocols again," Yuna said. "The Vorthans value strength and directness. They do not like weakness or uncertainty. We must show them that humans are worthy of respect." The 3 humans had arrived at Nexus Prime 5 days earlier. The neutral station floated in empty space between human and Vorthan territory. It was built specifically for meetings like this. 1. The station had separate quarters for different species, advanced translation systems, and security measures to protect all visitors. Minji walked to the communication console. "This is Commander Minji to Earth Command. We are prepared for the arrival of the Vorthan delegation. All systems are ready." The reply came immediately from Admiral Taiho back on Earth. "Understood, Commander. The entire planet is watching. Make us proud." The weight of responsibility felt heavy on Minji's shoulders. Earth had spent enormous resources to make this mission possible. Humanity needed allies if they wanted to expand safely into the galaxy. The universe was vast and full of unknown dangers. Working with the powerful Vorthan Empire could secure humanity's future among the stars. 2 hours later, the Vorthan fleet arrived. Minji watched from the docking bay as their ships approached. The vessels were unlike anything humans had ever built. They moved like living creatures through space, their hulls covered in what looked like scales. The largest ship was twice the size of Earth's biggest cruiser. The docking bay filled with a strange humming sound as the alien ship connected to the station. Minji straightened her formal diplomatic uniform and checked her translator one final time. Do-hyun and Yuna took their positions behind her. The airlock door opened with a hiss of equalizing pressure. The first alien to step through was enormous. It stood nearly 3 meters tall, with thick reptilian skin that shifted from dark green to brown in the station's lights. Its eyes were yellow and moved independently of each other. This was War Prince Gaxon, leader of the Vorthan delegation. "Greetings, War Prince Gaxon," Minji said, bowing slightly as Yuna had advised. "I am Commander Minji of the Human Earth Alliance. We welcome you to Nexus Prime Station." The alien studied her for a long moment before responding. Its voice was deep and seemed to come from multiple throats. "Commander Minji, your species is younger than we expected. You appear fragile." Minji kept her face calm, though she felt insulted. "Humans may appear fragile, but we have survived many challenges to reach the stars. We hope to learn from the wisdom of the Vorthan Empire." Gaxon made a sound that might have been laughter. "Yes, we have much to teach you." The next 3 days passed in formal meetings and ceremonies. The Vorthans seemed interested in human technology, especially their weapons and ships. They asked many questions about Earth's defenses and population. Minji answered carefully, sharing enough information to show good faith while protecting sensitive details. The aliens appeared to be considering the proposed alliance treaty. They spoke of mutual benefits and shared knowledge. Gaxon even invited the human delegation to visit Vorthan worlds after the negotiations concluded. But something felt wrong to Minji. She had been a diplomat for 8 years before joining the military. Her instincts told her that the Vorthans were hiding something important. Their questions focused too much on human weaknesses and too little on genuine cooperation. On the fourth night, Minji could not sleep. She decided to walk through the station's corridors to clear her mind. The human quarters were located in a separate section from the Vorthan areas for security and comfort reasons. As she walked, she heard voices coming from a maintenance area. Minji recognized the deep tones of Vorthan speech, but the translation system was not active in this part of the station. She activated her personal translator and moved closer to listen. What she heard made her blood run cold. "The primitive creatures suspect nothing," one Vorthan was saying. "They actually believe we want them as allies." Another alien voice replied, "Their technology is more advanced than we expected, but they are still just clever animals. The Emperor will be pleased with the specimens we collect." "When do we begin the cleansing protocol?" asked the first voice. "Tomorrow, after the treaty signing ceremony. The gas will eliminate them quickly. Then we can begin the real work of harvesting their planet." Minji pressed herself against the wall, her heart pounding. The Vorthans were not here to make peace. They planned to kill the human delegation and then attack Earth. She had to warn her people immediately. Moving as quietly as possible, Minji made her way back to the communication center in the human quarters. Her hands shook as she activated the emergency transmission system. The message would take hours to reach Earth, but it was the only chance to save her world. "Emergency transmission to Earth Command," she whispered into the communicator. "The Vorthans plan to attack Earth. Repeat, this is not a diplomatic mission. They intend to eliminate all humans. Prepare defenses immediately." She finished the transmission just as alarms began to sound throughout the station. Red lights flashed in the corridors. The Vorthans had discovered her absence and were coming for her. Minji ran toward the quarters where Do-hyun and Yuna were sleeping. She had to save them if possible. But as she reached their corridor, she saw green gas flowing from the ventilation systems. The aliens had started their attack early. Through the transparent doors, she watched in horror as her friends collapsed. Do-hyun tried to reach for his emergency mask but fell before he could put it on. Yuna managed to activate a distress signal before the gas overcame her. Minji wore her emergency suit because she had been unable to sleep. The suit's air supply protected her from the deadly gas, but she could do nothing to help her dying friends. Tears ran down her face as she watched them take their final breaths. The station's corridors filled with armed Vorthan soldiers. They moved quickly and efficiently, checking each human quarter to ensure no one had survived. Minji hid in a maintenance shaft, but she knew they would find her eventually. As the soldiers discovered her hiding place, Minji hoped her warning message had reached Earth in time. The Vorthans dragged her away, believing they had eliminated all witnesses to their deception. But they had made a mistake in keeping her alive. Commander Minji's mission had failed. Her friends were dead. But her real mission was just beginning. 3 months after the failed diplomatic mission, the Vorthan fleet approached Earth. Admiral Taiho stood on the bridge of the defense station orbiting Luna, watching the massive alien ships appear on his screens. The vessels were beautiful and terrifying at the same time, moving through space like giant sea creatures. "Sir, we are receiving a communication from the lead Vorthan ship," reported Communications Officer Jinsu. Taiho nodded. "Put it through." The image of War Prince Gaxon appeared on the main screen. The alien leader looked exactly as described in the reports from Nexus Prime Station. His yellow eyes focused on the human admiral. "Admiral Taiho of Earth Defense Command," Gaxon spoke through the translation system. "We come in peace to establish the alliance our peoples discussed. We bring gifts of knowledge and technology." Taiho felt relief wash over him. The emergency message from Commander Minji had been too damaged to understand clearly. Only fragments had reached Earth, speaking of danger but giving no clear details. Many officials had dismissed it as transmission errors or equipment failure. "Welcome to the Sol system, War Prince Gaxon," Taiho replied formally. "Earth is honored by your visit. We are ready to proceed with the alliance negotiations." The Vorthan fleet took positions around Earth's major cities. The aliens requested permission to establish what they called cultural exchange centers in New York, London, Tokyo, Mumbai, and São Paulo. These centers would allow both species to learn about each other's civilizations. Within hours, the exchange centers were operational. Each one was a massive structure that the Vorthons assembled with incredible speed. The buildings looked organic, like enormous flowers that had bloomed in the hearts of human cities. Citizens gathered to watch in amazement as the alien technology worked. Dr. Hayok worked in an underground research facility beneath Seoul. As one of Earth's leading xenobiologists, he had been preparing for first contact with alien life for his entire career. He studied the video feeds from the exchange centers with growing excitement. "This is incredible," he told his research partner, Dr. Nari. "Look at how their technology integrates with biological systems. We could learn so much from them." Nari nodded, but she looked worried. "Something feels wrong about this, Hyok. Why did they build the centers so quickly? And why are they all located in major population areas?" Before Hyok could answer, alarms began ringing throughout the research facility. Emergency broadcasts filled every screen and speaker in the building. "This is not a drill," announced the facility's AI system. "Biological contamination detected in major cities worldwide. All personnel must move to sealed areas immediately." On the surface, the exchange centers had opened like deadly flowers. Instead of welcoming humans inside, they began releasing clouds of green gas into the atmosphere. The gas spread quickly through the streets, carried by wind and ventilation systems. People began falling within minutes of exposure. The alien weapon was perfectly designed to target human biology while leaving other Earth life unharmed. Dogs and cats continued playing in parks where their owners lay dead. Birds flew overhead, unaffected by the poison that killed billions of humans in the first hour. Admiral Taiho watched in horror from his command center as city after city went silent. The orbital defense platforms fired everything they had at the Vorthon ships, but the alien shields deflected nuclear missiles like they were toys. The enemy vessels moved faster than human weapons could track. "Sir, we are receiving reports from underground facilities worldwide," reported Lieutenant Su Young, her voice shaking. "Military bases, research centers, mining operations. Anyone below ground level seems to be surviving." Taiho realized that humanity's salvation might come from the places they had built to hide from their own wars. "Send orders to all surviving military units. Retreat to underground positions. We need to regroup and find a way to fight back." In the Seoul research facility, Dr. Hayok and Dr. Nari worked frantically to analyze samples of the alien bioweapon. The facility's air filtration system had protected them from the initial attack, but they knew it was only a matter of time before the Vorthons found them. "The weapon is incredibly sophisticated," Hyok explained to Nari as they studied the green gas under their microscopes. "It targets specific proteins found only in human DNA. But look at this structure here." Nari leaned closer to examine the sample. "It looks incomplete somehow, like it was designed to break down after a certain period." "Exactly," Hayok said grimly. "They do not want to poison the planet permanently. They want to harvest our world's resources after we are gone." Above ground, Vorthon soldiers moved through the empty cities. They wore no protective gear because the bioweapon could not harm them. The aliens worked efficiently, collecting human technology and establishing processing centers for Earth's natural resources. Some humans had survived in sealed buildings, underground shelters, and remote locations. These survivors watched helplessly as the Vorthons began dismantling human civilization. The aliens showed no interest in the few remaining humans except as specimens for their research. In the deep space monitoring station beyond Pluto, Captain Wu Jin received fragmentary reports from Earth. His small crew of 12 had been conducting long-range surveys when the attack began. They were too far away to help, but they could see the alien ships spreading across the solar system. "Captain, we are detecting Vorthon vessels approaching the asteroid mining facilities," reported Navigator Kyung. "They are taking everything: metal, water, rare elements. They are stripping our entire system." Wu Jin felt rage building inside him. "Set course for the outer colonies. We need to warn any humans who are still alive out there, and we need to start planning how to fight back." The Vorthon cleansing protocol had succeeded beyond their expectations. Earth's population of 8 billion humans had been reduced to perhaps a few million survivors scattered across the planet and throughout the solar system. The aliens had accomplished in one day what they had planned might take weeks. War Prince Gaxon stood in his command ship orbiting Earth, watching the harvest operations begin. The planet was beautiful and rich in resources. Soon it would become another jewel in the Vorthan Empire. But the aliens had made one crucial mistake in their planning. They had assumed that humans would react to near extinction the same way other species had reacted throughout Vorthan history. They expected the survivors to hide, to give up, to wait quietly for death. They did not understand that humans became most dangerous when they had nothing left to lose. In underground facilities around the world, the surviving humans were not hiding. They were planning. Scientists like Hayek and Nari worked to understand the alien technology. Military officers like Admiral Tejo coordinated resistance efforts. Engineers began designing new weapons using captured Vorthan equipment. The war for humanity's survival was just beginning, and the Vorthans had no idea what they had awakened in the depths of human determination. The cleansing protocol had failed in one critical way. It had not cleansed humanity of their will to fight back. Minji opened her eyes to harsh white light. Her body felt different, wrong somehow. She tried to move but found herself strapped to a cold metal table. Strange machines hummed around her, connected to her body with tubes and wires. 2 years had passed since her capture at Nexus Prime Station. For 2 years, the Vorthans had used her as a test subject in their research facility. They had changed her body in ways she was only beginning to understand. A Vorthan scientist entered the room. This one was smaller than the warriors, with pale, green skin and 4 arms instead of 2. It checked the readings on the machines surrounding her table. "Subject 779 is awake," the alien said into a communication device. "The latest modifications appear to be stable. Brain function shows unusual patterns, but the subject remains viable." Minji tried to speak but found her throat too dry. The scientist noticed her attempt and provided a small amount of water through a tube. The liquid tasted metallic and strange. "What did you do to me?" she managed to whisper. The scientist's yellow eyes showed what might have been curiosity. "We enhanced you. Your species has interesting traits that we wish to study more closely. You can now survive in environments that would kill normal humans. Your reflexes are faster, your strength greater." Minji tested her restraints. The metal straps that held her felt weaker than they should. She could probably break them if she tried hard enough. "Why?" she asked. "Your people continue to resist our control of their world," the scientist explained. "We do not understand how such a weak species can be so persistent. By studying you, we hope to learn the source of human determination." The alien left the latte room, and Minji was alone with her thoughts. She focused on her body, testing the changes the Vorthans had made. Her hearing was sharper now. She could sense vibrations through the metal table that she never would have noticed before. Her vision seemed clearer, able to pick out details in the shadows of the room. But the most important change was something the aliens had not intended. Her anger burned brighter and clearer than ever before. The rage she felt at watching Do-hyun and Yuna die had not faded. Instead, it had grown stronger during her captivity. Hours later, alarms began ringing throughout the facility. Emergency lights flashed in the corridors outside her room. Through the walls, she could hear the sound of explosions and weapons fire. A human soldier burst into her room. He was tall and muscular, but his body showed the same modifications she had experienced. His eyes held the same burning anger that she felt. "Are you Commander Minji?" he asked as he broke her restraints with his bare hands. "Yes. Who are you?" "Lieutenant Junho, former Special Forces. I have been looking for you for 6 months. The Resistance needs you." Minji sat up slowly, her enhanced muscles responding perfectly, despite 2 years of captivity. "The Resistance? Humans who survived the cleansing. We have been fighting back across the galaxy. Come on, we need to move. This facility will not be secure for long." They ran through corridors filled with smoke and emergency lighting. Junho led her past laboratories where other humans were being freed from similar experiments. Some could barely walk. Others, like herself, moved with new strength and speed. How many of us are there? Minji asked as they reached an escape pod. On Earth, maybe 5 million survivors, but we have spread across dozens of star systems. The Vorthons never expected humans to adapt so quickly to space warfare. The escape pod launched from the facility just as Vorthon security forces arrived. Junho piloted the small craft toward a larger ship hidden behind a nearby asteroid. The vessel looked like a combination of human and alien technology, sleek but deadly. "Welcome to the Retribution," Junho said as they docked, one of 50 ships in the Resistance fleet. The ship's captain met them at the airlock. She was a woman about Minji's age, with short black hair and scars on her face. Her eyes held the same enhanced clarity that Minji was beginning to recognize in other modified humans. "Commander Minji," the captain said, saluting. "I am Captain Soyoung. We have been waiting a long time to meet you." "Why?" Minji asked. "Because you were there at the beginning. You tried to warn Earth about the Vorthon deception. The Resistance needs leaders who understand our enemy." Soyoung led them to the ship's command center. The bridge was staffed by humans using technology that looked far more advanced than anything Earth had possessed before the war. "How is this possible?" Minji asked, studying the alien-looking controls. "We learned from our enemies," explained Chief Engineer Jinwoo, another enhanced human. "Every Vorthon ship we destroyed taught us something new. Every facility we captured gave us better technology. The aliens made a mistake when they enhanced us," added Junho. "They gave us their physical advantages but kept our human minds. We can think in ways they cannot predict." Captain Soyoung activated a star map showing the local region of the galaxy. Red dots marked Vorthon-controlled systems. Blue dots showed human resistance bases. There were more blue dots than Minji had expected. "We are not just surviving," Soyoung explained. "We are winning. The Vorthons control the major worlds, but we own the space between them. Their supply lines are constantly under attack. Their mining operations fail more often than they succeed." "What about Earth?" Minji asked. Soyoung's expression darkened. "Still under Vorthon control. They have turned it into a research center and resource extraction site. But there are human survivors in the deep places. Underground cities, ocean floor bases, facilities built inside mountains. They send us intelligence and new recruits." Minji studied the tactical displays. Her diplomatic training helped her understand the larger strategic situation. The humans were fighting a guerrilla war across multiple star systems, but they lacked the strength for a direct assault on heavily defended worlds. "We need to hit them where they are weakest," she said finally. "Their confidence, they still think of us as animals. Every time we prove them wrong, we damage their morale." "Agreed," said Soyoung. "But we also need to be careful not to become monsters ourselves. Some resistance cells have started using tactics that remind me too much of what the Vorthons did to us." Minji nodded. This would be the real challenge of the war. Humanity could not win by becoming like their enemies. They had to find a way to defeat the Vorthons while remaining human. "I want to see everything," Minji said. "Every intelligence report, every tactical analysis, every piece of Vorthon technology we have captured. If we are going to win this war, we need to understand our enemy completely." Over the following weeks, Minji immersed herself in the Resistance's accumulated knowledge. She learned that the Vorthons had conquered 17 other species over the past 1,000 years. Each time they had used the same tactics: deception, bioweapons, and overwhelming technological superiority. But none of the previous victims had fought back the way humans were fighting. Most species had tried to hide or surrender when faced with extinction. Humans had chosen to spread across the galaxy and bring the war to their enemies. The more Minji learned, the more she understood the true nature of the conflict. This was not just a war for survival. It was a war to determine what kind of species would inherit the galaxy. The Vorthons believed that strength and ruthlessness were the only virtues that mattered. They saw compassion and cooperation as weaknesses to be eliminated. Humans were proving them wrong, one battle at a time. But the greatest test was yet to come. Minji's mission had failed 2 years ago, but her real mission was just beginning. 6 months after her rescue, Minji led her first major operation against a Vorthon supply depot. The facility orbited a gas giant in the Kepler system, processing fuel for the alien fleet. Destroying it would force the Vorthons to reroute supplies through 3 other systems, each one vulnerable to human attack. "Remember, we go in fast and quiet," Minji told her team as their modified ship approached the depot. "Junho, you and Soman handle the explosives. Jinwoo, I need you to download everything from their computer systems. We have 20 minutes before their patrol ships return." The team consisted of enhanced humans like herself. Junho's special forces training made him perfect for combat operations. Soman had been a mining engineer before the war. Now she was the Resistance's best demolitions expert. Jinwoo could hack any computer system the humans had encountered. Their ship, the Silent Strike, was invisible to Vorthon sensors. Human engineers had reverse-engineered alien stealth technology and improved it. The Vorthons still thought in terms of large, obvious displays of power. Humans had learned the value of being unseen. "Docking successful," reported pilot Wu Jin from the bridge. "You have a clear path to the main processing center." Minji led her team through the depot's corridors. The facility was mostly automated, with only a few Vorthon technicians on duty. The aliens had never expected humans to penetrate this deep into their territory. The team moved like ghosts through the installation. Their enhanced reflexes and strength made them far more dangerous than normal humans, but they retained the creativity and adaptability that made humanity unique. "Charges are set," reported Soman through their communication system. "This place will be space dust in 15 minutes. Data download complete," added Jinwoo. "Their shipping schedules, defensive positions, everything we need for the next 3 operations." As they prepared to leave, Minji heard something that made her stop. Through a ventilation grate, she could see into a holding area where Vorthon scientists were examining human prisoners. The aliens were taking tissue samples and conducting the same experiments that had been performed on her. "Change of plans," Minji said quietly. "We are not leaving those people." "Commander, we do not have time," Junho warned. "The patrol ships will be back in 10 minutes. Then we work faster." Minji had sworn to herself that no human would suffer what she had suffered if she could prevent it. The Resistance needed to be more than just another group of warriors. They needed to be the people worth saving. The rescue took 8 minutes. Minji's team eliminated the Vorthon guards with precision and silence. The human prisoners were weak but alive. Some had been enhanced like herself. Others were still normal humans. "Can you move?" Minji asked a woman who had been strapped to an examination table. "I think so," the woman replied. "Are you really human? The aliens said all humans were dead." "Not all of us," Minji said, helping her stand. "Not even close. They evacuated the prisoners just as the depot exploded behind them. The Silent Strike carried them away from the expanding fireball, invisible to the Vorthon patrol ships that arrived too late to save their facility." Back at the Resistance base, Minji reviewed the intelligence they had captured. The data showed something disturbing. The Vorthons were preparing a new phase of their campaign against humanity. "They are moving military assets toward the core systems," she explained to the other Resistance leaders during their briefing. "Either they are planning a major offensive, or they are preparing to defend something important." Admiral Taiho, now leader of the Resistance naval forces, studied the tactical displays. "Our attacks have been more successful than we hoped. Maybe they are finally taking us seriously as a threat. Or maybe they have found something they consider more important than hunting down the last humans," suggested Captain Soyoung. Dr. Hyuk had been analyzing Vorthon biological samples captured during raids. His research had revealed disturbing information about alien experiments with human DNA. "They are still trying to enhance themselves with human genetic material," he reported. "But every attempt fails. There is something in human biology that they cannot replicate or control." "What do you mean?" asked Minji. "They call it the Fury gene. It is not actually a single gene, but a complex interaction of multiple genetic factors that affects how humans respond to extreme stress. When humans are pushed to their limits, they become unpredictably dangerous. The Vorthons want this trait, but they cannot successfully integrate it into their own species. Minji thought about this information. So they are still experimenting on human prisoners? Yes, but also trying a different approach. Our intelligence suggests they are planning to create hybrid creatures, part human, part Vorthon, designed to be controllable but still possess human adaptability. The idea filled Minji with rage. The Vorthons were not content with killing humanity. They wanted to steal what made humans unique and use it for their own purposes. We need to hit their research facilities, she said firmly. All of them. Over the following months, the Resistance launched coordinated attacks across 12 star systems. Human strike teams destroyed laboratories, freed prisoners, and captured advanced alien technology. Each victory made them stronger and more confident, but the war was changing both sides. Some human groups had started using captured Vorthon bioweapons against alien civilians. Others had begun experimenting on Vorthon prisoners the same way. The aliens had experimented on humans. Minji found herself fighting a war on two fronts, against the Vorthons and against the darkness growing within humanity itself. We are becoming like them, she argued with Colonel Kyungji, leader of the hardline resistance faction. If we use their methods, how are we different from our enemies? We are different because we are fighting for survival, Kyungji replied coldly. The Vorthons started this war with genocide. They do not deserve mercy. Maybe they do not deserve mercy, Minji agreed, but we deserve to remain human. The argument reflected a larger debate within the resistance. Some leaders believed that winning required becoming as ruthless as their enemies. Others, following Minji's example, insisted that humanity's values were worth preserving even in wartime. The debate became urgent when Dr. Hayek made a breakthrough in his research. He had successfully reversed the Vorthon bioweapon, creating a virus that would target alien DNA the same way their weapon had targeted humans. We could end this war in days, he explained to the Resistance Council. Release this virus in their major population centers and the Vorthons become extinct. Minji stared at the biological weapon data. The power to commit genocide against their enemies was literally in her hands. Everything human inside her recoiled from the idea, but she also knew that the Vorthons would not hesitate to use such a weapon if they possessed it. We need more intelligence before making this decision, she said finally. I want to know exactly what the Vorthons are planning with their military buildup. The intelligence came sooner than expected. A captured Vorthon officer revealed under interrogation that the aliens were preparing something called the Final Protocol. If they could not control humanity, they would destroy every world where humans might survive. They plan to detonate stars, the alien had said. Gamma-ray bursts that will sterilize entire regions of the galaxy. Better a dead galaxy than one shared with inferior species. Faced with this information, the Resistance had to choose between deploying their own weapon of mass destruction or finding another way to stop the Vorthon Final Protocol. Minji knew that whatever choice they made would define what humanity became after the war. If there was going to be an after, the underground war had taught humans how to fight and win against superior enemies, but the greatest battle would be fighting to remain worthy of victory. The Resistance Council met in the hidden base inside the asteroid field of Wolf 359. Representatives from 50 human colonies gathered around a holographic display showing the galaxy. Red zones marked areas where the Vorthons were preparing stellar detonations. Blue zones showed the last human strongholds. Minji stood at the center of the debate that would determine humanity's future. We have the weapon to end this war, Colonel Kyungjae declared, his enhanced fists clenched tight. Dr. Hayek's biovirus can eliminate the Vorthon species completely. We could deploy it within days. And become exactly what they said we were, Minji replied firmly. Genocidal monsters who destroy entire species when threatened. Admiral Tejo studied the tactical projections. The Vorthons have positioned stellar demolition devices in 17 systems. If they activate them, the gamma-ray burst will sterilize over 100 worlds, not just human colonies but every living thing in those regions. Dr. Nari had been analyzing intercepted Vorthon communications. Their timeline shows activation in 2 weeks. They are calling it the Great Cleansing. They would rather rule over dead worlds than share the galaxy with humans. Then we stop them, said Captain So-young. We take the fight to their homeworld and destroy the control systems before they can activate the protocol. Colonel Kyung-jae laughed bitterly. Impossible. Their homeworld has defensive systems that could stop 1,000 human fleets. We would need every ship in the Resistance, and even then we would probably fail. Probably is not the same as definitely, Minji pointed out. The debate continued for hours. The tactical situation was clear. Humanity faced extinction in 2 weeks, unless they acted decisively. The moral situation was equally clear. Using genocide as a solution would destroy the very humanity they were fighting to preserve. Finally, Intelligence Officer Sunmi presented new information that changed everything. We have identified the Vorthan who developed both the bioweapon that killed Earth and the stellar detonation protocol, she announced. Chief Science Advisor Velkron. He is located in a research facility on the outer moon of their homeworld. System. So? Asked Kyung-jae. So he is also the only Vorthan who knows how to stop the final protocol once it begins. Kill him too early, and we lose the chance to prevent the stellar detonations. But if we can capture him... Minji saw the possibility immediately. We split our forces. One group deploys the bioweapon against Vorthan colonies to draw their attention. The other group makes a direct assault on their homeworld to capture Velkron and stop the final protocol. That is suicide, Kyung-jae said bluntly. Both missions have almost no chance of success. Better than no chance, replied Minji, and it gives us the possibility of winning without becoming monsters. The council voted. The result was close. 26 votes for Minji's plan, 24 votes for immediate deployment of the bioweapon. Colonel Kyung-jae stood slowly. I cannot follow this decision. Too many good humans have died for us to risk everything on such a desperate plan. He left the council chamber, followed by nearly half the resistance leaders. Within hours, the human forces had split into 2 factions. Kyung-jae's group began preparing to deploy the bioweapon against Vorthan's civilian populations. Minji's group prepared for a direct assault on the most heavily defended system in the galaxy. Are we doing the right thing? Captain So-young asked as they watched ships leaving the base. I do not know, Minji admitted. But I know that some choices change who we are forever. If we become genocidal killers, what are we fighting to preserve? Dr. Hyuk approached with the latest intelligence reports. The Vorthans are accelerating their timeline. The first stellar detonations will begin in 10 days, not 14. Then we leave immediately, Minji decided. Take every ship willing to follow us. This ends now one way or another. The assault fleet consisted of 30 human ships against the entire Vorthan home defense system. Minji commanded from the bridge of the Retribution, with So-young as her tactical coordinator and Junho leading the boarding teams. Enemy fleet detected, reported Navigator Kyung. 200 Vorthan warships moving to intercept us. Signal, all ships, Minji ordered. Execute attack pattern Omega. We go through them, not around them. The battle that followed would be remembered as the most desperate action in human military history. The smaller, faster human ships used every trick they had learned in 2 years of guerrilla warfare. They struck like lightning and vanished into the sensor shadows cast by the system's gas giants. But they were still outnumbered 7-1 by technologically superior enemies. We are losing too many ships, So-young reported as another human. Vessel exploded on the tactical display. At this rate, we will not have enough forces left to assault the research facility. Signal the remaining ships to form up on us, Minji ordered. We are making one final run at the target. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, Colonel Kyung-jae's bioweapon attacks had begun. Vorthan colonies reported massive casualties as the reversed plague spread through their populations. The aliens responded with fury, sending emergency fleets to defend their civilians. But the attacks had an unexpected consequence. Some Vorthans began questioning their own species' methods. On the colony world of Nexar Prime, a group of Vorthan scientists refused to evacuate, instead working with human prisoners to develop a cure for the bioweapon. Your people show mercy even to their enemies, observed Dr. Vextar, the lead Vorthan. Scientist. This is not weakness as our leaders claim. This is strength we do not possess. The human scientist Dr. Kangman, who had been a prisoner on the colony, worked alongside his former captors to save lives. Maybe we can find a way to end this war without destroying both our species. Back at the Vorthan homeworld, Minji's assault force had been reduced to 5 ships. They approached the research facility under heavy fire from orbital defense platforms. This is it, Minji announced to her surviving crews. Everything we have fought for comes down to the next hour, for Earth, for humanity, for the future. The final battle began as human boarding pods launched toward the research facility. Minji led the assault team personally, her enhanced abilities and diplomatic experience making her uniquely suited to capture Velkron alive. Fighting through corridors filled with Vorthan soldiers, Minji and her team reached the central laboratory where the final protocol controls were located. Velkron was there, an ancient Vorthan with pale blue scales and 6 arms working frantically to complete the stellar detonation sequence. Stop, Minji commanded, her weapon aimed at the alien scientist. I know you can halt the final protocol. Do it now. Velkron turned his multiple eyes toward her. You are Commander Minji, the human who survived our research. How fitting that you should be here at the end. This does not have to be the end. Your people and mine can find another way to coexist. The ancient scientist made a sound that might have been laughter. Coexist. Your people are destroying our colonies with the very weapon we used against you. You have become as ruthless as us. Some of us have, Minji admitted. But not all. There are Vorthans helping humans even now. There are humans trying to save. Vorthan lives. We can choose to be better than our worst impulses. Velkron paused, his hands hovering over the detonation controls. And if I refuse? If I activate the protocol and eliminate both our species rather than allow such weakness to spread? Minji lowered her weapon slightly. Then you prove that cooperation is impossible. But if you help me stop this, we prove that even enemies can choose peace. The fate of the galaxy hung in the balance as the ancient Vorthan scientist considered her words. Outside, the battle continued to rage. But in that moment, in that laboratory, the real war was being fought. Not between weapons or ships, but between different visions of what intelligent life could become. The moral crucible would reveal what both species were truly made of. Velkron's 6 hands moved slowly across the control interface. Each gesture could trigger the death of trillions of beings across the galaxy. Minji watched, her weapon still lowered, trusting that diplomacy might succeed where violence had failed. Your species fascinates me, the ancient Vorthan scientist said quietly. We have conquered 17 civilizations, and all of them begged for mercy when faced with extinction. You chose to fight. Even now, with genocide within your grasp, some of you choose compassion. Because that is what makes us human, Minji replied. We can choose to be better than our circumstances force us to be. Velkron paused at the final control sequence. The stellar detonation process has already begun in 3 systems. I can stop it, but doing so will leave both our species vulnerable to each other. Your people have proven they can match our cruelty. What guarantee do I have? That mercy will be rewarded with mercy? Before Minji could answer, explosions rocked the research facility. War Prince Gaxon had arrived with his elite guard, determined to complete the final protocol regardless of Velkron's doubts. Stand aside, old one, Gaxon commanded as his soldiers surrounded the laboratory. The humans have proven they are as genocidal as we feared. Both species will die before I allow these animals to inherit the galaxy. Minji found herself caught between 2 Vorthan factions. Velkron represented the possibility of peace, while Gaxon embodied the war that would destroy everything. You do not have to do this, she told Gaxon. Your own people are questioning this war. Some are already working with humans to save lives. Gaxon's weapon powered up with a deadly hum. Traitors and weaklings. They will be cleansed along with your species. The War Prince fired at Velkron, but Minji moved faster than any normal human could. Her enhanced reflexes carried her between the scientist and the weapon blast. The energy beam burned through her shoulder, but she remained standing. Impossible, Gaxon snarled. No human can move that quickly. You made me this fast, Minji said grimly. Your experiments gave me everything I need to fight you. The battle in the laboratory was swift and brutal. Minji's enhanced abilities, combined with her diplomatic understanding of Vorthon psychology, allowed her to outmaneuver soldiers who were individually stronger than her. She used their arrogance against them, making them overconfident before striking at their weaknesses. Junho and his boarding team arrived just as Minji finished the last Vorthon guard. Gaxen lay wounded but alive, his yellow eyes filled with hatred and disbelief. The detonation sequence, Velkron called weakly from where he had fallen. It can still be stopped, but only for the next few minutes. Minji helped the ancient scientist to his feet. Do it. Save both our species. Velkron's hands moved across the controls with practiced precision. One by one, the stellar detonation devices shut down. 3 stars had already been damaged, but the chain reaction that would have sterilized dozens of systems was prevented. It is done, Velkron said, collapsing from his injuries. The final protocol is ended. Across the galaxy, the effects of the decision rippled outward. Colonel Kyungjae's bioweapon attack stopped as reports came in that the stellar threat had been neutralized. Many of the Vorthon colonies that had been attacked were now receiving medical aid from the same humans who had been trying to destroy them hours earlier. On Nexar Prime, Dr. Vextar and Dr. Kangman had successfully developed a cure for the bioweapon. Their joint research became the foundation for unprecedented cooperation between the species. We have learned something important, Vextar told Kangman, as they watched human and Vorthon medical teams working together. Your people call it empathy, the ability to understand suffering even in one's enemies. My species lost this trait long ago. The war was not over immediately. Many Vorthons still believed in the superiority of their empire. Many humans still burned with the desire for revenge. But the actions at the research facility had proven that cooperation was possible. War Prince Gaxen, now a prisoner, watched from his cell as the 2 species began the difficult process of building peace. You have won nothing, he told Minji during one of her visits. This peace will not last. Conflict is the natural state of intelligent life. Maybe, Minji admitted, but we proved that it does not have to be. That is enough for now. The negotiations that followed took years. Earth was returned to human control, though it would take decades to repair the damage from the Vorthon occupation. The surviving human colonies throughout the galaxy were recognized as independent territories. Most importantly, both species agreed to the Nexus Accords, named after the station where the war had begun. These agreements established procedures for peaceful contact between civilizations and prohibited the use of extinction-level weapons against any sentient species. Minji found herself appointed as the first human ambassador to the Vorthon Empire. Her unique experience as both victim and survivor of their experiments made her the ideal person to bridge the gap between the species. Do you ever regret showing mercy to Velkron? Captain Soyoung asked during one of their meetings. Minji looked out at the stars from her office on the rebuilt Nexus Prime Station. Human and Vorthon ships moved peacefully through the same space where so much violence had occurred. No, she said finally. Revenge would have felt good for a moment, but building something better feels good forever. The scars of the war would never fully heal. Too many had died on both sides. Too much trust had been broken. But the choice to pursue peace over vengeance had given both species something they had not possessed before: hope for the future. Years later, when other species made contact with the human-Vorthon alliance, they found something unexpected. 2 former enemies who had chosen to become partners in exploring the galaxy peacefully. Minji's mission as a diplomat had failed at Nexus Prime. Her people had been slaughtered by the billions, but her retribution had not been the destruction of her enemies. Her retribution had been proving them wrong. Humans could be better than their worst moments. They could choose compassion over cruelty, cooperation over conquest. And in doing so, they had not only saved themselves but had shown an entire galaxy a different way to live among the stars. The war was over. The real work of building a better future was just beginning. Commander Minji, now Ambassador Minji, stood ready for whatever challenges lay ahead. She had learned that the greatest victories were not won with weapons, but with the courage to remain human even in the darkest times. Her mission had evolved from seeking peace to creating it, and that mission would continue for the rest of her life.